And today is Saturday, July the 11th. Welcome to the Suburban Chicago Apple Users Group live webinar, virtual meeting. Okay, I am George Brooks. I'm part of the board of the Suburban Chicago Apple Users Group. That's somewhat of a mouthful. Just want to remind everybody who is watching this live, you are actually panelists. So we're going to put you on your good behavior today, and please mute yourself, okay? Unless you're speaking or asking a question, okay? And also, if you want to ask a question, please put your questions not in the chat, but in the question and answer area, okay? All right, for today, we are going to have two speakers, and then we have a nice large portion of today's meeting that's going to be dedicated to everyone. Today we have Dave Ginsburg, and then we also have Davis, who is Dave Snipe, who's going to speak on Facebook. Okay, so without any further ado, I guess I will go ahead and introduce Dave Ginsburg. He is our current president. He has over 20 years of IT experience. He's knowledgeable about PCs as well as Mac and mobile devices in his profession. He is a subject matter expert on all things Apple iOS. Okay, he is also a podcaster. He has a podcast called In Touch with iOS. He is also a contributor on several different podcasts as iChart Radio and For Mac Guys Only. You can also join him with Chuck Joyner sometimes, and Dave gets around when it comes to the podcast. We're fortunate to actually have Dave as our president. So, okay, go ahead, Dave, and he's going to talk to us about iOS 14 and other things iOS. Go ahead, Dave. Take it away.
Yeah, actually, thank you, George. Appreciate it. Actually, today we're going to be talking about Apple Maps and with a little spin on Google Maps. But I was also going to open up at the beginning here with a little bit of Q&A. We haven't had that opportunity, since we've always used to do that when we were in person with each other. So since we've just changed this format and have everything open for folks to be able to speak, I want to first open it up for iOS Q&A. If anybody has any questions, you can put them in the Q&A chat in the chat box. And
Q&A, not chat. Q&A.
Excuse me, Q&A. Put it in the Q&A box and ask a question. If you want to ask a question, you can raise your hand, and we can get you unmuted, and then you can ask your question. So I'm going to leave that open right now. If anybody has a question for me on what's going on with your iPhone, your iPad, Apple to Apple TV, your Apple Watch, any of that stuff. There's got to be somebody who has questions out there. One person. Nobody?
I don't see one here.
I know.
We're not awake yet. We have to drink our coffee
I think Ray's raising his hand. Go ahead. You can unmute Ray and ask your question. Or I can unmute you too. I think it lets him. There you go.
The switching from Intel to the ARM, are they going to do
Apple
like
Silicon.
They did? Pardon?
Apple Silicon.
Okay, well, that's great. But how soon can I expect my Intel-based machines to be obsolete and not brought along anymore?
Decades.
Yeah. Of course, that isn't an iOS discussion, but it kind of goes along with it because it really is going to be something that something that's going to give everybody. Someone's got to mute here. They're coughing, and someone's what it's going to do is probably for the next 5 to 8 years, I would imagine, even longer, that Intel will still continue to be supported. The great thing about it with iOS and Mac OS is the fact that now you're going to be able to have apps that work both on the Mac as well as on your iPhone or your iPad. Because being on that platform, it's the same basic platform. You're going to be able to run these apps, and developers are now going to be able to, if they so choose, they want to have an app that's going to run on iOS as well as on Mac, they can do that. So as far as the concern of the chip itself, I wouldn't worry. Apple is still going to be releasing some Intel-based Macs here pretty soon here, as they said during the conference. So if you need a computer, I would say go ahead, jump and grab one. If you're you're okay with what you have now, then sit tight and then wait to see what happens. I read some rumors potentially that they might be coming out. The first model might be a 13-inch MacBook Pro towards the end of this year, but it's going to be some time until then. So,
But if Intel Macs will be supported for, to quote Tim Cook or whoever said it, years to come. Okay, I mean, they're not gonna throw it away. They've built a complete infrastructure to operate both on Intel and on Apple Silicon. It's reasonably easy as a developer. I'm a developer. It's reasonably easy to target any of that hardware. The first hardware is supposed to be out towards the end of this year. But anyway.
Right. All right. Anybody else have any questions before I go ahead and I'll go ahead and move on and to my discussion unless you have a question. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. If you have any questions again during my presentation, go ahead and put them in the Q&A. Bob is moderating for us during my session, and he will get that over to me. So let me go ahead and share my screen here for everybody, and then I got to share my iPhones. Wait for a code. I need that code. All right, you should be able to see my first iPhone, and I'm going to bring up my second one.
FYI, the Q&A isn't working. The keyboard doesn't come up.
Okay.
I was going to mention that as well, but we moved on to out of questions. So.
Okay.
Well, but that's bad. So hang on.
Yeah, we got to find out why that's happening. All right.
It actually didn't work when you were in questions either.
We didn't change anything. Hang on.
Okay, well, we'll move on here. I'm just going to go ahead and go on with my presentation.
Yeah.
Here.
So just put it in the chat for now. We'll figure out Q&A later.
Yep. All right. So my discussion today was going to be on Apple Maps, and boy, Apple Maps has come a long way. I see everybody seems to remember that when those days of when Apple Maps was having you drive into lakes and had bad inaccurate directions, and Apple had a long way to go. But I'm telling you, they've come a long way since then. The system itself has really reigned they've really reigned the landscape when it comes to maps. Google Maps was good, and don't get me wrong, Google Maps has its place. Probably one of the big advantages that it does have is it does have an actual way of downloading entire areas of maps if you so choose. Apple Maps can do that too, and that's some of the differences. But that you really shouldn't stand out as far as that goes. Other differences though you got to think about too is privacy. Google Maps is not private. You know, they're selling ads, they're tracking what you do, versus Apple, who keeps everything private. Both services are free. So Apple subsidizes it by including it with Mac and as well as iOS, so you don't have any issues as far as that goes. And really that's the whole differences between the two. And I wanted to have both of them up side by side here so you can kind of see how things look and which actually is better, and accuracy. It's supported on all devices, basically iOS as well as on Mac. We're going to, for the purposes of this presentation today, I'll be focusing on the iPhone. And one thing that Apple does stand out to as far as maps goes is local search, being able to find things very easily. So, well, why am I going to sit here rambling on about this? Let's go ahead and just get into this description here. Let me give you my background here so you're not seeing everything except my phones. Okay, so to search for a place, you know, I've done a couple searches here already here. Well, here's Las Vegas. If you go to search for Las Vegas, okay, so it brings you to Las Vegas. But some of the cool features that Apple Maps has is one of them is called flyover. So if you scroll up here, You can also go to photos that are available on Wikipedia or any social media places that people take pictures of. They get linked back into maps, which is kind of neat. So there might be a specific photo that might interest you, and you can open up more photos if you want to take a look. And then down here, it just has a simple look around. If someone posted this, now you can see how this is working. It just looks around here. And if you go in landscape mode, it'll make it really big. Gives you another cool view of this is Las Vegas Boulevard in the case of Vegas here. And look, someone was right there, and you can actually zoom in on that, and it looks good. Look, they actually blocked out the guy's face. That's good. So that's flyby. As far as specifics to when you search for places, not every place does that. So I'm not bashful. I'll show you my home here where I live. It has a look around, which is kind of scary, actually, if you think about it. And pretty much anybody who puts their address in, you're going to have this look around. So then you can look around and look at my house here. Looks like it was a beautiful day when Apple Maps trucks went by and did that. The same thing you can do with the landscape and be able to look at that and see what it looks like before you go to the direction. Other things that are great about Apple Maps is the fact that you can create favorites. Now, what I did here is I've created a bunch of favorites in here already. So if I click See All here, so like here's the American Society of Anesthesiologists where we usually have our meetings. So now I have that right there. A quick favorite if there's a place that you go to all the time. Very easy to add that, and then you can go and get the directions. And now what I've done is I've started a directions, and this is from my house, and here is where you bring this up, and it actually gives you options as far as if there's any things in the local area. Like if you want to find out if there's a gas station on the way, it'll bring it up and it'll tell you where they're at, and then you can pinpoint that, which is great. It does work really well. I'm very impressed with how this part of it does. What I do is I usually bring this up and also I go into details. I like to see what the actual turns are for how to getting to a particular location. The other thing too is you can also share your ETA with somebody. Like if I wanted to share this, I can share this with my phone here next to me here. And now I'm texting it. And if you look on the phone on the right here, you can see it added this now in text. So it's saying I shared my ETA with you, and then and it actually says I'll let you know if I'm running late. So really cool being able to tell somebody right away if you're running late, if you're busy, if you're going to be on time.
Hey, honey, there's some interesting stuff here.
Frank, can you please mute?
Sorry.
You can turn the audio on and off if you want. If you don't like the volume, you just want it to have it on there as well. Of course, it works with the Apple Watch. I'm not showing that today, but the map is on my Apple Watch right now because I initiated this. Great little directions and very simple. Like right now, because we're in the morning here, this is really kind of interesting. You could actually pick breakfast, so it's going to find breakfast locations on the way on the route if it finds any. And there's a couple locations. Of course, we go to Egg Harbor Cafe. That's right down the street, and a bunch of other places. So you can actually go to these places on the way, which is really cool. So I think they've really done a wonderful job as far as putting that information. And as you see at the bottom there, it says sharing with one person. So I've shared it, and I could share it with other people too if I wanted to. So you can share it with a multitude of people where you're going. So we'll end this route here. So let's go into another view here. Let me pull this out of here.
Hey, excuse me, Dave.
Yes.
They're supposed to actually now add in EV chargers, electric vehicle chargers. Did you by chance see that option in there?
It's going to be in iOS 14.
Oh, okay.
And it hasn't. And this phone on the right, this one here, is on iOS 14. But I haven't seen it as of yet. So it's still in beta. But it will show those out along the way. Yes. One thing I'll mention too is, and I think this was on this one on the iOS 13 one on the right. Yes. If you notice this here, I'll do that. If you notice this right here, this shows the temperature that's currently we're in your location right now, and it's got AQI, air quality index. So it tells you, as of course, the higher the number, the horrible, the worse the air is. But that's kind of neat. It actually is giving you a little blurb right here on the map to tell you what how the weather is on your route. So, that's definitely something neat here. If you look over here on the right here, you've got some map navigations here. So you can, in this case, this was a 2D or 3D that you could change. So if you go up here into info, you can actually change the map here into to satellite, and then it's going to give you a satellite view of a location here. I want to click the button here with my mouse, but I got to go on the iPhone here. So then, of course, this gives you a great flyby view of the area that you're in, and you can really zoom down pretty far. And of course, you can go landscape mode here too, and you actually can look at that and be able to look at that as well. So very very cool ways of being able to view things even more so than ever. Really.
Excuse me, Dave.
Yes.
I just want to add something, and we can't easily go into the Q&A, so I sorry for interrupting.
No,
please do. Please do.
It's fine. That's why we opened it up.
Apple Maps, at the bottom there, you were noticing the temperature. If you put your finger on it and hold it for a few seconds, you get a little more detail. I don't know if you're aware.
Yep. Did you see that? I just did it.
Yeah, you'll get the yeah. I mean, it's a minor thing, but
no, that's great. No, because then, so what it's doing is it actually brought up it said Rolling Meadows because of the direction, so it's going to bring up whatever town that you'll be driving through during that journey, and gives you the quick weather. Yeah, no, thank you, appreciate that. All right, so let's go a little more into favorites and other things here. So this one's kind of cool. This is the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, and hopefully this loads. Take about a day or so to get there, the direction here. But let's go. Where is it at here? I want to show the flyby. Let's do it this way. Gold Gate Bridge. Yes, and then here's the quick look around. So as soon as you pick, it all depends on the landmark and where it is. So if you go into landscape mode, you can get a quick view and a fly around as well, and it is pretty cool. The other one was we did Vegas. This is the flyover. And now what this does is this actually does you could actually do a city tour. So you start with this, and it does a slow little tour. So this is doing an overview of Las Vegas. And it'll start going into the town, into the city, and then of course you'll start seeing all of those casinos. And so this gives you a perspective that you might want to, as you decide to travel to a location, so you see what it actually looks like. That's so cool. So that's flyover. So if you go down here too, you can actually search for places. Let's see if this comes up. So if you're going to go see a White Sox game, here is a Guaranteed Rate Field. So let's say I want to put this as a favorite. What I can do is I can tap this button here. I scrolled up, I tapped add, and I can add it to places. So I can create a new collection if I wanted to, or I can actually add this to Chicago, since that's what this is. And again, it all depends on the location and how it has this information. Like here's look around. So this is actually showing, this is I think 35th Street, along the park, and you get a view of it before you go there, so you can kind of get an idea what it looks like.
Dave, I have a question about look around. How current is what we're seeing? In other words, if they had the street blocked off for construction or something today, would I be seeing that?
Probably not.
Nope.
Okay.
Because actually I just looked at here's Wrigley Field, and then I can go to satellite, and if you look over this view right now, it's still, this view is more current. I was just looking at a little while ago, and it was showing it as it's still under construction. So they updated this. So okay.
Hey Dave,
Yeah,
while you're talking about favorites, how do you correct a favorite? So probably have to delete and re-add it, probably, but yeah.
Yeah, let me get out of this map.
Marcia's asking. Marcia.
Yep. Okay. So if you go into collections, it's going to show all the collections that you have. Like in this one, it's Chicago. I think the only way you can do is you have to remove it. If it's not something that
yeah, I think that's all.
You want
remove it and re-add it.
Yeah. This is an interesting thing. Like, let's say you're looking for a Portillo's. I'm hungry. I want to have a hot dog. So I put in Portillo's here, and what it did was it actually it picked the one that it's the most closest one around. But it also, when I first originally added it, let me try it this way. When you actually search for something, and in this case Portillo's, search nearby, it mapped out like every location right on the map. I mean, how can you beat that? I mean, what would you have to do before? You would have to go to a website and actually look for that and then get the address and then paste it back in. So it's very interesting. So not to neglect Google Maps very much, but I wanted to show a little bit on this is on this phone here. This is Google Maps. I've got Wrigley Field built up right here right now, and I don't know. I just don't like the interface. I think it's you can actually can do things like setting up commutes. You can save favorites just like you could do in Apple Maps. You can contribute, but again, I think what I said at the beginning is privacy. I'm not a big fan of Google and the fact that they don't keep things private when it comes to your searching, and they have a whole list. I mean, you could turn it off, but you have to go through hoops to do that. And we know that's why we love Apple and why we use their products is because they are very serious about security. So when it comes to that, so but as you see here, it does. I mean, you do have the same types of options here. Here's satellite view. So you've got that. So I mean, it's going to be very similar. But I don't know. If I was talking to you about 5 or 6 years ago when Apple was having all those problems, I would probably say, yeah, Google's probably a little better. But Apple Maps has just come a long way. Apple's really invested a ton of time and money into making it even better.
Dave, do you know if they've added multiple destinations yet?
They I had thought they did. Let's try it. So we're going to go to Wrigley Field. And if you go to directions, maybe not. There's driving options. That's a good question. But one good thing here is you can actually you also have choices besides driving. You can walk. That'd be a really long walk, 6 hours. It shows the transit, so it does give you some. It gives you options of where you can pick up a bus and a train to get to the location, and then if you're looking for a ride, it'll actually link it up with Uber, and be able to do that as well. I don't know if I would take an Uber right now, but
Dave, normally when you're going to add a second stop, you normally have to hit go first and then add the second stop when you're actually en route. So you might want to.
All right.
And then when you get done with that, there's another question I'll get you.
Yeah. I don't think.
It doesn't look like you can. Well, go ahead and click on like breakfast.
Yeah, this has a breakfast that you could actually put that to go instead. Like if I tap go.
Yeah, I don't think it's there yet.
No, it says resume route to Wrigley Field.
See what it did then? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know if you can add specific locations. It doesn't look like it.
It doesn't look like it.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, we got questions.
Yeah, Celeste was asking how, besides privacy, what does Apple Maps do that Google Maps doesn't? And it's funny. They both do a lot that are the same, and they do them differently. So the flyover is fabulous. That's new.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Some of the unique features, like Apple's Street View, is absolutely outstanding. I mean, I
Yes.
think compared to Google, I think they've done a much better job with that. And they've really single-handedly have changed the way all mapping apps operate, because it's been follow the lead, and Apple has initiated a lot of great things. I'm not even showing the iPad. I mean, the iPad experience is even more spectacular, being able to see these flyover locations and being able to do that. Social sharing is a big thing now. Obviously, people are going places, they want to share it, and we'll be talking about Facebook here in a minute here. Sharing it on Facebook, say you're sharing it on Twitter, sharing it on Instagram. So you have those options there with both. So really, I think it's a big thing. As far as what they've done, as far as improvements go. So I would probably lean towards that more than anything else.
And Margie's got a question. Just Marge, go ahead, unmute here.
Go ahead, Margie. You can
Or just muted, maybe.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, you're there.
No. Hi, Margie.
Quick question. Old school. I have always gone out to Google. If I'm looking for a new place, say like a landscaper, like Aspen Landscape, I'll go out to Google and it'll show on that entry, call, directions, or website. It used to be, and I don't know if they've changed it or if I just need to change the setting. If I hit directions, it would bring up Apple Maps for me. It would give me the option of Apple or Google. Now it just goes directly to Google. Is that a setting, Dave?
Yeah, I thought that Google. That's a good question. But I mean, here's the address. Like I typed in what you just mentioned. And
right into Maps.
Yeah, right in the maps here. Yeah, and it did give the information right here as far as their website and information of and the reviews and all that stuff is all within.
And you
here.
brought it up in Apple Maps, correct?
Didn't you searched for it in Apple Maps?
Okay. So I guess I just need to change my ways. I've always just gone out to Google.
Oh, I know. People Google all the time. If you go to if you're going to a Safari browser, you're typing in and you search in Google.
Okay.
That's going to change because with the new default with the new default apps in iOS 14, we're going to be able to change default apps to email as well as browser. And
perfect.
Others are going to come as well. Right
Wonderful.
now, what Apple's doing is they want to make sure that there's just some rogue app says, oh yeah, I'm a browser. I want to be default, and they're only going they're going to go through a submission process and only allow. Like in the case of browsers, it's going to be, obviously Firefox and Google Chrome and Brave browser, the big browsers. Email would be Outlook and others that are available. And then same thing with Maps, Google Maps, Apple Maps.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I think I'm close to my time. I'm a little over my time here, but is there any other questions we have before we wrap things up?
I've got a comment, if that's okay.
Yeah,
sure, of course, Randy.
My favorite that they recently added in the last year or so is collections. And I don't think many people use it, but I'll give you an example of how I've used it. I was planning a trip back in January, and I basically, had a lot of lodging to book. And for each lodging, I basically put it in the same collection. I called the collection, this trip.
Yep, I forgot to mention that. Thank you.
I had all my bookmarks for the trip in one place, so it was easy for me to see everything. I could look at it all on a map, which was kind of nice. I've also done it for favorite breakfast restaurants in my area, so I've got another collection for favorite breakfast restaurants. So I bookmarked those in another collection. So it's a nice way to kind of group all sorts of things, or points of interest. Like I said, breakfast locations. You can put any bookmarks in a collection that you want. So those are a couple ways I've used it.
Here's the collections. Yeah, thank you. I completely forgot to mention that. I was going to talk about that and got off sidetrack there. But yeah, here's the collections that I've created. And then like Randy said, you can tap a plus. You can actually create a list. You actually could put a photo of the list and customize it any way you'd like. And then you just start adding these things to the list. The way to do that is you just let's say I just picked here. And you actually can bring up this. I'm in driving mode here. Sorry. Let's try something else. I'm just picking something random here.
Well, for Wrigley Field, you could have all the major baseball parks in the entire country in one collection. So if you wanted to kind of see them all, you know, if you're a fan of baseball parks.
Yep, yeah, you could. And here's like this one I just searched. Margie mentioned. Here's where you tap add to, and then like if I say I want to collect it, make a new collection, I can call it landscapers. if you're doing something like that or whatever you want to call it, and you click create. So now it's in my list of collections. I just randomly did it there. So, but I've got a bunch of collections here, and then this is all places, so it'll bring all a list of all your places here all on the list as well. That's right. I did put Yankee Stadium here because I know Davis is a Yankee fan, and there's a logo, there's a look around there as well. So, anyway, I think my time has run out. I appreciate everybody's view here, and I'm gonna actually think we have to go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and introduce Davis. Right? You ready, Davis?
Yeah. Well, excuse me for just a second, Dave. Just a few housekeeping things. Just want to let everyone know that everybody's a panelist. Because everyone's a panelist, we're all in this view and everyone's camera is being shown. So be aware that if you by chance get up and you're not fully dressed or you don't want to
make sure you have shorts on or pants.
You know, so just just let everybody know that so that we don't have any oops moments. Also, again, if you have questions, don't forget to put those in the chat. By the way, every good webinar show or any production has a man behind the camera or a person behind the curtain. And I forgot to introduce Bob Fairburn, who's our guy behind the curtain. Okay? But go ahead, Dave, and I'll let you.
I actually, someone was folding laundry in front of the camera, so they're now cameras turned off.
Just and by the way, we are recording this, so just to let
you're
you
live on YouTube.
So that if you're folding, so if you're by chance folding clothing, or you might say something to your child or your spouse, it's going to be out there. So just be aware. Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Okay, one thing I wanted to mention here before we get started here is I wanted to thank Ed and Becky Booth. Ed and Becky have been our programs, and they've done our graphics and our promotions for the last 5 years. Ed and Becky decided they wanted to step down, move on, and do some things with their family, and enjoy life, and take away a lot of the stresses of the day-to-day of doing the job. But I want to actually tell them and let everybody else know that I thank you on behalf of myself, the board, and everybody I can say in this group of all the hard work you guys did for all those years of getting us some great programs. And we always loved that you had the hook and took everybody off and made sure we kept everything timely, and you did a great job with that. And we just wanted to really give everybody a lot of thanks that you of all the things you did for us, and we really appreciate it, and thank you. And everybody probably is already clapping and applauding, but thank you for everything you guys have done for this group. And I know you're not going anywhere; you're going to be here as members and attending, and we'll still see you. But I just want to make sure everybody was aware of that. With that, now we've got a new team here. Davis Knight is, which I'll be introducing here in just a moment, is now our programs coordinator. He's going to be taking the lead with our programs. Frank Savatini and Jeff Shively, I always get his name messed up, but both of those gentlemen will be working on branding, and they'll be doing graphics and all that stuff as well. So we've got a brand new team that's going to be taking over. So with that, after today, we are going to take a bit of a break. We're going to take a little bit of the summer off. We kind of extended our summer this year. Usually we'd normally take the summer off. So after today's meeting, we will our next meeting won't be until September, except for the photography SIG, which
I was going to say, got that SIG, man.
I said, except for the photography SIG, because we got that going on. So we'll make sure we mention that. So that's all I got for that. Thanks again. And let me go ahead and introduce Davis Knight. Davis Knight is an avid Apple technology enthusiast and the host of and owner of DiabeticSavvy.com, a culinary-focused media company that includes his website, YouTube channel, and podcast that advocates and empowers the diabetic community through great food and conversation. Running a website requires the ability to use and understand a wide variety of tools, including web development, audio and video software, and social media platforms. Now more than ever, social media, virtual connections, and digital relationships are more important to collaborate and engage with others. In addition to supporting programming and promotion for the suburban Chicago Apple users, Davis enjoys outdoor activities, touring the national parks, and spending time with his lovely wife and fur kids. With that, I introduce Davis Knight, and he will be talking about Facebook. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Hey, everybody. How are we doing? First of all, I want to say thank you so much for being here today. There seems to be a lot of interest about Facebook, so I'm real excited about today's presentation. So today's presentation is really going to be about the basics. And for the sake of all of our membership and our guests in the meeting today, I thought I would start at the very beginning because there is a lot of questions about privacy and security with Facebook. So I want to touch on a couple of those things today and then walk you through actually setting up a profile and going through some of these settings. So whether you have a profile currently or you've never set up a profile, we're going to be touching on a lot of these settings and setup that are important to review not only for the first time, but also occasionally as you have your profile, because these settings will change as Facebook continues to change their algorithm and their privacy settings. So before I start sharing my screen, let's talk about really quickly what Facebook is. Facebook, for lack of a better word, is a digital meeting place for anything that is of interest to you as a user. It is a free service. And I say free there, and I'm going to use air quotes here for a second. Free is a conditional word. While it's free to you, there's always a cost to something, whether it's Google, whether it's Facebook or anything. You pay for the service through advertising, like watching free network television. Right? That is what you pay for to use the service. And, you know, I was talking to George yesterday about this presentation and the pros and cons of Facebook. And I know there's a lot of privacy concerns about there. We're going to talk a lot about that today. But the challenge that I would ask all of you is, do your privacy concerns overtake your interest in being active? The reality is Facebook is the largest social media platform in the world today. It has over 1 billion users. More than likely, every one of you in this meeting today knows someone in your network or family or friends that is using Facebook very heavily. And whether we like it or not, Facebook to many, many people in the world is the internet. I'll use my wife as a great example. My wife gets up to Facebook, checks it multiple times a day, and goes to bed with Facebook. I kid you not. It's almost like, you know, she's cheating on me, but regardless, right? So for her, everything she learns about, from news to what's going on in her interest groups to family and friends, she learns through Facebook. So I would challenge all of you to think about your concerns about privacy. With just a little bit of proactive work that we'll talk about today, you might be able to alleviate some of those concerns and really enjoy this platform. All right, so what I thought we would do is I will literally just start creating a profile from scratch today and walk you through all this. So let me share my screen. All right, let me do this here, do this. Okay, we're gonna go here first, and I'm gonna zoom in on this so you guys will see all my folders. Okay, so for those of you that have never created an account, this is the home screen that you will come to when you open up an account. It's gonna ask you for the basic information. It's gonna ask you for your first name, your last name, and then I wanna focus a little bit right here, okay? Your mobile number or email. This is a really important a really important piece of information, and I would recommend that you use your mobile number. For me, I am very transient. My phone is in front of me more so than any other device that I have with me, and I respond to texts much quicker than I do to email. So this little area right here, if I put my mobile number in here, that is how Facebook will contact me with a variety of things, be it updates about my newsfeed and my profile, what's going on with my family, but more importantly, any alerts that I need from a privacy and security perspective. So that's a really important area to fill out. Next thing, password, okay, right here. I'm going to say this, and I know George has talked about this. I know we've talked about this many, many times. A number of speakers and presenters have talked about this. Use a strong password and change it every 3 to 6 months. It's really important today. Facebook, because of its size, is a primary target for hackers, spammers. Use a good password. And if you don't use a password manager, use a really strong password with different characters in order to make sure your security is at the best that it possibly can be. All right, birthday. Now, you know, I grew up never asking anyone what their birthday or their age was. It was an etiquette question. You just didn't go there. But I will tell you, my thoughts have changed a little bit about that, because what Facebook does, Facebook's interest in you as a user is to keep you on the platform. Part of their job and responsibility in order to achieve that goal is going to be finding information, giving you interests that you are interested in. And whether we like it or not, someone who is 15 years old doesn't have the same interests as someone who is 50 years old. That's just the way it is. Putting in your birthday will allow you to start to filter out a lot of that noise and things that may or may not interest you. And the same also goes for your gender designation. Whatever you choose to identify as with a gender, you can find that here. All right. So once you click on this screen and confirm that, let me get out of here for a second. I can minimize that and we'll go here. All right. You will come to a screen that looks pretty similar to this. The first thing that Facebook will do is confirm your information via either the email or the mobile number that you put in on the first screen. So you'll start to get immediate confirmations that what you were doing is legitimate. And one other reason, by the way, that I like using the mobile phone number is to use what's called two-factor authentication. So if I log out of my account, anytime that I log in either from a trusted device or a device that I've never used before, it will send me a code to my email, to my phone, that I can put in immediately to verify that I am who I say I am. So really, really important, important thing to use, to consider with regards to putting in your mobile phone number. All right. So the first thing that Facebook will do, and again, I'm using the desktop here just because I like the real estate, and a lot of you can see that fairly well on your own screens. This would look a little bit different on the tablet as well as the mobile, any mobile device that you use, but the functionality is the same. You just have to dig a little bit differently to find some of these things that we're going to talk about today. All right. So the first thing that Facebook will do is it will search your computer or your device, mostly your phone book, right, or your contact list, for people that you may know that are also in Facebook. I would suggest that you start here and find your friends, find your close family relatives that you want to let them know you're on Facebook if you've never done this before, but also go into this section once in a while, every 6 months or so, just to make sure that your information is up to date. I've had friends in my Facebook list that have passed away that I don't need them to be in there anymore. You can delete them if you like. Some of you will never want to delete those. I get that too. And we'll talk about legacy things in just a few seconds, but this is a really important screen to work on first, okay? Once you've added your friends here, you will come to a page that looks similar to this. This is your profile page. And your banner area here, which is a really good sort of visual way to share what's important to you, what you've done recently. You can add a picture here and also your profile. So just for the sake of our presentation today, I'm going to upload a photo of me and we'll put that in here. Okay. And you can crop this in, drag to reposition. You know, I've got a face only radio could love, so you know, you do the best you can. And we'll save that. Okay. It will then reload. As you can see, my picture is in there now. Okay. Now I'm going to work on my banner or my cover photo. Okay. So we'll add that and I'll select a photo. Oh, here we go. Let's give me 1 sec. Cancel that. I hit the wrong thing. All right. We're going to upload a photo. And I'm a huge comic book fan, so we'll put the Hall of Justice in there. And great, now I've started to create my identity on Facebook, okay? And I can save those changes, okay? All right, once this page reloads, then you can start to really get into the details of this. And I wanna walk through some of these buttons here in case you're not aware of it. Okay, so first thing here is this little F button here. This is very similar to the home button on the Apple devices, or the swipe up, if you will. This will always take you back to your individual newsfeed. So really important. Okay, and there you go. All right, and I'll get to all this in just a second. There's our friend Dave right there. All right. Then you have your search field. We'll talk about that a little bit more in details, but here you can search for your friends, you can search for interest groups, you can search for subject matter. Really important to understand. This will take you back, this area right here, will take you back to your own personal newsfeed and page. You have your home button, which will take you back to your own home newsfeed, and we'll talk about customizing that in a second. And if you skip that page where you want to find friends or you want to update this or look for new friends that might be on Facebook, this is the button that you want to push. And again, it will pull up anyone that you may know or that Facebook thinks you may know here. Okay, and we'll talk more about those settings in just a second. If you want to create something, okay, this button right here, and I'll zoom in on it, okay, is where you can create a page, you can create an ad, you can create a group if you want to, you can also create an event, you can create a fundraiser, you can create anything that you may be interested in or your group may be interested in. So important to understand that piece as well. Then you have your friend request page, okay? This little button here with the two little people. Like this new friend, like the Find Friends page, it will continuously try to search up people you may know or friends of friends that you may also know. So it's really good to check this every once in a while as well. Now, one thing here that I think is really important, when we talk about, you know, customizing your experience, the remove button is really important. There are a couple of things that Facebook is just determined, a couple of people that Facebook has determined for me to acknowledge that I know. Using this remove button is one of my best friends, because if I don't want to continuously be alerted that one individual, I may know one individual, I can hit that remove button and I won't see them for some time or if ever again, okay? So really important. All right, the little bell button here is notifications, and I've got one notification here. So if I click on that, it says your new notifications are now sorted to help you help you see what's most important. Sorry, that probably was hard to read. All right, so your notifications are also dynamic and they are live. So really good. That's one of the first places I go every time I log in. You have an account switcher. Okay, I have multiple accounts through Facebook. I have an account for my business. I have an account for myself personally. My wife also logs in from the same device, so her account shows up. So if you have multiple accounts, this is where you would switch from that account without necessarily logging out completely. Then you have your help, your quick help section. And then this little button here is probably the most important one that I'm going to talk about today. This little down arrow. If you click on that, this brings up a wide variety of things that you will need, from finding groups to advertising to your activity log. We're going to talk about that a lot. Your news preference settings, your general settings, and obviously logging out. All right. So let's quickly talk about privacy really quickly. All right, I'm going to go to the settings button right here from that little arrow. Okay. And I will tell you whether you've had a profile for some time or whether you're setting it up from the very beginning, go to this general account settings. Here, when you start off with general, you will see a couple of things. You will see your name as you're listed on Facebook. You will also see your username as Facebook sees you. You can change this if that username is available. So if I didn't like daveknight.3192479, I could change that if that username was available. So if you want to customize that username more so, you can do so. Although typically this is what shows up in my feed and when people look for me, all right? I can change my contact number here. And really important, you can also come over here and edit each one of these to your own preferences. Really, really important, okay? Something that's really important that there's been a lot of discussion about, particularly about a year and a half ago, there was a lot of conversation about what happens to your profile, your photos, your assets, your memories if you pass away on Facebook. There is now a memorialization setting. You can assign one of your friends or family members to have access to your account in the case of your passing. You can also, and I'll just go here since we're talking about it. You can now assign a legacy contact that they can manage your tributes. They can actually manage the removal and the deletion of your account. So you can manage all of these settings now in ways that you could not before. You can also request that your account be deleted after you pass away. The one thing is that Facebook does need to be contacted and alerted that you've passed away. because you couldn't do it yourself, you passed away, right? But you can set up all those settings so you can manage your information and your memories and your legacy in the case that you will no longer be around to manage it yourself. Okay, so really important. And then lastly here, identity confirmation. Okay, this is where you can continuously, oh, sorry, here we go. You can enter your password to continue. I'm going to go back here. All right, but you can customize your identity confirmation as well. All right. Security and login. Again, these are some of the most important pages that you want to manage when you're setting up and managing your profile. You can choose 3 friends to contact if you get locked out. We are in an age of where sometimes we forget our passwords, and if we don't have a password manager that's either connected or hooked up or we have access to, if you get locked out, you can set up friends to help you get back into your account. So really important. This can show you also where you're logged in. So right now you can see this is where I live in the United States. I'm actually on my Mac now, so it's actually showing me what I'm logged in as, really important. You can change your password. Again, all the edit buttons are here on the side. You can save your login information. Here's that 2-factor authentication that I set up, really, really important. Again, that's one of the reasons why I recommend you use your cell phone number. Authorized logins. This is where you can manage the devices that you want to have access to your Facebook account or ones that you don't. So also really important. Different app passwords that are within your system. Get alerts about unrecognized logins. That's a huge one for me. Not that I've ever had that, but again, it's a setting that I do manage. Here's a repeat of the 3 to 5 friends to contact if you get logged out. You can have your email notifications encrypted. You can recover external accounts, and you can also see recent emails. All right, so again, really, really important security login. Here's your Facebook information, and I'm just gonna, again, this is all just, again, managing your information, but going into this setting page every 3 to 6 months is really, really important. Okay, privacy. Privacy, this is where you can manage all of your settings about who can see your future posts. So as you start to build your network, do you want your friends to see it? Do you want it to be public? Do you want people to be able to tag you? How transparent do you want to be on Facebook? This whole area here is all about how people find you, contact you, can interact with you. So really, really important. Timeline and tagging, again, who can post to your timeline? Who can see your posts? How do you allow your information to be seen, right? Who can tag you? Friends or friends of friends in this case. So if you have a friend who has a friend that may know you, they can tag you, right? If you go together out in a group and you're putting on Facebook, right? All of those settings are within here. Okay, we're gonna talk about stories in a second, but location.
Davis, when you're ready, I have a couple of questions.
Okay, sure, we can go ahead and jump in. I'm sharing my screen so I can't see the questions. What's up?
I know, that's what, so I was going to stop you before, but I didn't, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Someone's been getting, it's Elda, Facebook requests from people only slightly acquainted with. Does Facebook suggest those automatically based on mutual friends, or these individuals asking to add me to them as a friend? That's the first one.
Yes, yes. So Facebook works on an algorithm. Their whole goal is to, again, keep you on the platform, keep you interested, keep you engaged. They are constantly looking to expand your experience. You may go out and make friends with someone today that you don't have as a friend on Facebook. Facebook then will continuously search to see if that friend is part of your network, and they will suggest that you become friends with that individual. Same thing with groups and other interests. They will continuously try to find ways to keep you engaged on the platform. So yes, they will do that automatically. And that's one of the reasons I'm spending so much time on this section, because you can continue to manage those notifications and how Facebook is trying to help you through this setting sections here.
Yeah. And do you know how the password recovery, account recovery stuff works? Does it ask you what actually happens when you go into recovery and you have a friend that you're getting recovery from? Do you know how that works?
I have not done that myself. That's actually a relatively new service as part of Facebook. I wanted to bring it up today because a lot of people don't know about it. I have actually not had to go through that myself because I use a pretty robust password manager. So fortunately, I haven't had that issue, but I don't know that I want to do it as an example because I don't know where it's going to go. today.
Okay. And a third one, are you going to discuss Facebook plugins or extensions? I don't know what those are. So
no, I didn't plan to do that today. And let me tell you why. Today was all about the basics and getting comfortable with your news feed and your own personal page. If there was enough interest after today's presentation, I thought we would do a follow-up, more advanced presentation on Facebook that would cover things like extensions and plugins.
okay. And Margie, go ahead. Marge has a question.
Yeah.
You can.
Quick question on the legacy. You would have to do that before you passed. What my folks have both passed, they have a page. Would it have to be my brother who is power of attorney to be able to make changes then to that? Or how does that work if the individual's already died?
If they already died, then I would reach out to Facebook directly and let them know that that individual has passed away. If there was any sort of direction as to what was to happen to that Facebook account when they passed, then I would suggest that you just recommend they delete it. The thing about Facebook is that anything that you post on Facebook literally becomes Facebook property. Again, that's part of that free service that's part of the terms and conditions that you're signing. It becomes, for lack of a better word, and Dave and Bob and Dave, you may want to correct me here, but it becomes Facebook domain, if you will, right? So I would just reach out to Facebook customer service directly and let them know.
Okay, thank you.
That's one of the reasons
there is an alternative.
Okay.
Do you have the password for the account?
I would be able to, yes. My dad wasn't at 92, wasn't real good with changing passwords. So yeah, I could probably figure it out. So that would be my first alternative, wouldn't it, Bob, to be able to get it?
Yes, that would be your first alternative.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. I'll play with it.
This is not Facebook, this is in general. You might want to use a password manager and give your people with power of attorney and your people with, that sort of whoever that might be, medical power of attorney, whatever, access to all your passwords in case they need them. I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on the internet. So
no, good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to dovetail on that, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole today, but I will tell you one of the things that I have started doing is I have literally a thumb drive that has all of my digital information on it, and it's literally in my safety deposit box. So if something ever happens to me, people can access information with instructions from me as to what to do. So if you don't already have that, buy a cheap thumb drive. Put a spreadsheet on there with all of your information where people can go to take care of your information if you can't. Really, really important. So we should maybe do a digital legacy.
Yeah, that we'll have to find an attorney to help us with that.
Yeah.
And,
Joe Kiesel has done a book on that, and he spoke to us about that before. Maybe we should have him
have Joe back. Yeah, that would be really good.
Yeah, we should.
So, okay, let me jump back into this really quickly. All right, so talking about, I'm going to go here really quickly. All right, so we've got this basically set up. From here, there's a couple big places that I just want you to understand. Number one, your timeline. Okay, you can decide, you can show you can customize how you look at this. So if I look at the list view, it's going to show what we see traditionally on Facebook, and it's going to show my most recent changes to my page. I added my banner here, my cover art. I added my profile page. Nobody went in my birthday. You guys all know how old I am now. That's just awesome. But I could also set up grid view, which will show it more like almost tiles, if you will. So I get to see more on the page. Okay. The about me section, I can add workplace. I can add information about me. So this is where one of the areas where you want to be careful. Only put information you want to be searched. You have the choice to decide what people can and cannot see about you. From your current city to your school. I mean, don't put anything out there you don't want people to know about you. It's really what it is. Be deliberate and determined with what you want people to know and not know. Here are friends. All right, this is where I would see a list of my friends. I have no friends, I'm sad, right? But it will also show people that you may know. So if let me give you a good example here. So if I go here, oh, look, we've got Dave. So I will add him as a friend. Now, one of the things that happens here, Dave has not accepted me as a friend yet. That's a friend request sent, okay? Now from here though, if you notice what happens when I hover over this button, right, and I'll zoom in here, I can find close friends that Dave is allowed to be seen, acquaintances, and I can add it to another list. So I can actually look for friends of friends here, depending upon what Dave has set up as his privacy settings, all right? So now I can start to like find friends and again, build that network. Photos, you know, we had a long conversation, me and the team had a long conversation about photos. Anytime you post a photo to Facebook, it will collect all those photos into a photo album, if you will, based upon a timeline, right, of your photos. And it will highlight them in whether you uploaded it on a computer, whether you upload it on a mobile device, whether your friends tag you in it. So there's just a variety of ways to do it. Archive, okay, pretty simple, right? I can archive information if it becomes too old so people don't see that. I can turn that on or off. And then lastly here, this more button. And again, these little arrow buttons are always really important because you can start to see a lot of things that you can dig into really deeply into your profile, and you can manage those sections, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go back here to my home screen, and we're gonna talk really quickly about, let me skip that for now, creating a post, okay? So a post is really basically an update. I don't know if you guys can see that okay, all right? So when you create a post, right, I can say SCAU meeting, right? Oops, yep, okay. Now from here, I can change the background to make it more visible. I can put like really cool smiley faces on it. I can put a video, I could upload a video if I was doing that. I can also tag friends. So the fact that I'm here, if I tag friends right now, I can put in Dave, who probably won't show up. Oh, there we go. There we go. So now Dave will get an alert that he was there with me, so he'll know what's going on, right? And I can choose whether to add it to my news feed or my story. Now, let me tell you what the difference is between the two. Your story is, for lack of a better word, a 24-hour event or photo album. It's visually based. It's all about photos, not text, right? That will literally expire within 24 hours. So if I was at a Yankees game, I said that for Dave purposely, right? If I was at a Yankees game, for example, and I had a bunch of photos that I wanted to post to my story that I didn't want to be a legacy event, that I wanted to expire in 24 hours, I would use my story. Very similar to Instagram stories if you're familiar with that. But if I add it to my newsfeed, that becomes a part of my newsfeed and my timeline. It becomes a part of my history on Facebook. And then I can also come over here and choose where to, who would see this, for both of those sections, for both of those choices, right? So if I hit post, take a minute here, it is now posted, and now anyone who is in my friends list and anyone who is in Dave's friends list because I tagged him, right, can see that post, and you can start to get engaged, get engagement. All right, if I hit on this little ellipses button here, really important. Let me click on that. Here we go. All right. So now I can save the post. I can edit it after the fact. I can edit a location. I can change the date if I put it in wrong. I can turn off notifications. One of the things that you may want to do is, I don't need to hear the whole world is learning about this event. No big deal, right? So you can manage those notifications. You can hide it from the timeline. You can do a lot of things in these little hidden buttons here. So really important you understand all that. And if I want to comment on that, I can come down here to comment. And then this button, which is also really important here, right? It's not just about thumbs up anymore. I don't have to just like it. I can love something if I really, really like something. I can care about it. I can think it was absolutely hysterical. I can share my emotional reaction to this post, right? So those are just all those kinds of options, right? There is not a thumbs down button. So unlike angry is about the closest one that we have on Facebook today. But I, as a commenter, can also add other things to my comment, like emoji, my own photo if I was there, a really GIF if I want something animated, and I can also post a sticker. So there's a lot of things that you can do to do with this. Okay, all right. You can also add photo and video. So again, this really becomes sort of a living, photo album, if you will, of what's going on in your life events. All right. And now I've got a conversation popping up from Dave. Here we go. See, there you go. So I'm going to close it out.
I was going to mention one thing.
Yeah.
Of course, you tagged me.
Yes.
This is a good thing to know. You can set it so you approve if you want that particular tag or comment ends up on your timeline.
Yeah.
Because right now I have a timeline review and I have to go in there and say, hey, do I want that on there or do I not? So you can granularly do that, because sometimes people like take photos of some of you, or they might something you don't like and you don't want it to be on your timeline. You actually can tell it not to be on your timeline.
Yes, correct. I mean, it's like, get yourself into the habit of actually managing this, like a file folder, if you will. Interact with it, and Facebook will continuously learn about what you want and what you don't want. But every once in a while, again, go into those privacy terms, really important. Which leads me to the news feed. Okay. So one of the cool things about your news feed is what is happening with all of your interests and all of your friends. All right. Really important. This little more button, or the ellipses button, is a critical thing to go in and manage every 3 to 6 months. Here's why. You can now go to your top stories, most recent, or even better, edit your preferences. One of the things that happens is, I'll give you a good example. My brother's wife, my sister-in-law, because we interact so much, I see her information all the time. My wife doesn't interact with her so much, but so she's always, complaining to me, why don't I see her stuff? Why don't I see her stuff? Well, because my wife doesn't go in and manage this pop-up box for newsfeed preferences. You can prioritize and customize on an ongoing basis what you see in your newsfeed. You can prioritize who you see first, right? Who you want to unfollow, who you want to reconnect with. Sometimes you will lose connections with people because you don't interact with them that often. This is where you can reconnect with those. You can manage snooze settings. For example, if I have a great friend right now who's traveling across the country, it makes me incredibly jealous that I'm not out there with them. I don't want to see that. It just makes me upset. So I can snooze somebody for 30 days if I don't want to see that. If he keeps tagging me on it, I don't want to see that for right now. And then you also have some additional options here. So going into this button, this manage newsfeeds, and it's in a couple of different places. It's here, right? It's also in your settings button, where you see manage your newsfeed preferences. Okay.
So Davis.
Yes.
I'm on Facebook,
Okay.
about that much. And one of the main reasons that I'm on Facebook about that much is my daughter keeps posting pictures of my grandkids up there and the stuff that they're doing. And I want to see that. So this is where I would prioritize that.
Correct. Absolutely. You can prioritize who it literally gets pinned to the top of your newsfeed.
Okay,
now you will still get everything, but it will prioritize the order 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's this thing, it used to be chronological and it's not anymore. So, but by putting that there, then I'll see the pictures of the grandkids by clicking on that.
You'll control, yes, correct. Now it's much more algorithmic. So based upon your activity, and you could do things you're not even know about. Let's say one day I have an interest in milkshakes. Well, or even more so, and this is why you want to manage your preferences. Let's say I go out and I look for a milkshake maker on Amazon. Facebook knows that. So I will see ads for that milkshake maker. I will see everything pop up for a milkshake maker. That may have been only a one-day interest. Going into that newsfeed and customizing those settings every once in a while will help you continue to keep that clean and keep you seeing what's most important to you in the moment, prioritized. Absolutely.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I mean, I've got, like, because of being the podcaster and doing all that kind of stuff. I mean, I've got like the Mac Observer, and of course we've got the Apple group, the Mac to the Future group, and I prioritize a lot of that stuff because that's the stuff I want to see. It interests me. Yeah. I mean, I see family stuff and all that stuff, but you actually can go through and prioritize. You want to see these things first. So, Bob, in your case, you should be able to. You should be able to just pin your daughter's feed, and just that'd be your priority.
Okay, so you pin that's just to prioritize who you see first.
Right.
And,
yes, he's got right on the screen there.
There's two questions. Yeah, so right there. Matter of fact, I just did that. I'm following along. So if my eyes are off the screen, it's because I'm trying to do this at the same time. And does that carry over like to my iPhone? Do I have to go set this up on my iPhone too, or does it do it general?
If your phone is logged into the same Facebook account, yes, it carries across all devices. Correct. Yeah. Because those are universal Facebook settings.
And Jerry has a question. How do you log out of Messenger?
You would do that. You would do that actually through Messenger directly. So I was going to get to Messenger in just a sec.
Okay, perfect. I'll let you keep going. I'm just trying to keep everybody covered
There's
here.
a couple other questions there too, if you want to throw those.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and take the questions.
Yeah.
Because I want to touch on a few other things, and then I'm pretty much.
When using photos, does Facebook upload the full size, reduced size, or just a large icon?
It uploads a photo that the metadata will be there. The resolution will be altered depending upon your connection and depending upon the settings you've created within Photos. And you can do that. You can do that within your settings.
But in general, you can't use Facebook as a backup for your phone. Don't do that. Don't do that. It changes their names. It destroys them basically.
Correct. Again,
never do that.
Anything that you put on Facebook, you have to be. It's like giving it away to the world.
Right.
You have to think about it that way. And again, there's so much value to Facebook, especially in these times, to connect with friends and family. I mean, in some ways, it's the only way we can connect. So there's a lot of value there. So I don't want to scare anybody away, but just understand that you have to be deliberate about what you put on Facebook. Because if you don't want it to go out to the world, don't put it there. It's that simple.
Right.
You know, just like you have things in a safety deposit box or a safe or something at home, think about it that same way.
Yeah.
Were there other questions?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I got it all.
All right.
Actually, there was one more. It says, can you set more than one priority when it brings up the news in the news feed?
Yeah, well, here, I'll walk you through it. So you have these. So in this preferences page, each of these are separate priorities, right? So when you click prioritize who sees it first, it will bring up all your friends and you can choose who you want to see, right? So if I wanted to see Dave first, I could pin him here, all right? I could also unfollow people. So these are all multiple settings within the feed, okay? I can manage my snooze settings. There you go. All right. And then we can also hide certain things and applications from the news feed. So if you start seeing something you don't like, you can actually go in here and say, oh, hide that from me. I don't want to see that. So there's multiple settings that you can do within this preferences pane.
You know, you mentioned unfollow. People probably get confused that they may think that you're unfriending that person. Could you kind of just give that difference between unfollowing somebody and unfriending?
Yeah.
somebody?
So, okay. So for example, I'll just go here and I'm going to go to your page, Dave, just as an example. So let's say so here I am in Dave's page. Dave has now accepted me, right? Okay. So he and I show up as friends here. Okay. Now following though is there's a difference between someone being a friend. A friend basically says that they can see information about me and I can see information about them. Following though is an alert system to let me know anything that they're doing that they post on Facebook, I'm going to get alerted to. So it's like, and this is not the right word, but you'll get it when I say it. It's like stalking digitally. Like if I want to know everything that's going on with an individual, right? Stalking is a very strong word, but it really is that. So you can find out anything that they post, it's going to pop into your newsfeed. So if, let's say in Bob's case, if I want to know what's going on with my grandkids, I would want to follow them, right? So you would change that setting here, depending upon if he's an acquaintance, if he's a close friend, how much you want to follow. You can customize all those settings here, right?
And then set it to see first as well, right?
I'm sorry?
In the case of Bob, he could set his daughter to see
Absolutely.
first.
And that goes back to that newsfeed priority, 100%. Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk about messaging in just 1 second. Okay. And then here you can see the level of your friendship. You can support or report the profile. Let's say if, Dave starts doing something that I don't like, putting crazy stuff up there, Zoom bombing my calls,
Oh, believe me, there's plenty of people out there I've put in my don't follow list.
Yeah. And if you don't want to report them, listen, there is nothing better than block. Like block it. Just block it. You can always unblock something later on, but just don't be afraid to use that. I mean, the beautiful thing about digital is nothing's really permanent, and that's a good and bad thing, but nothing's really permanent. So just don't be afraid to use those buttons. Okay. All right. Really quickly here, because I want to talk just about 2 more things and then we can jump into any questions. Let me go back here. All right. Okay. So this left-hand column is really, really important because one of the other things that you can find here is groups. So if you see, I click more, and it brings down a lot more information and things that I can look for. Let me talk to you a little bit about groups. Facebook is very has been doing a lot of work this year on becoming more private, more customized, respecting its users' privacy a lot more. Let me explain to you something that's different about your newsfeed versus groups. For example, there you go. So we'll just go here. All right, so here we are at the Suburban Apple Users Group. The key differences that you need to understand about a group versus a newsfeed is groups are controlled by the group's administrators. So if the administrators don't want advertising, they don't want certain types of content being loaded into that group, a group is much more powerful for really mitigating, discerning, and filtering out a lot of the information that you don't want. So I would encourage you all, go out there and look for groups that support your interests, because it's different than the newsfeed. It doesn't have a lot of the spam. It doesn't have a lot of the advertising, if any at all, right? It's really just filtering out everything but the core information that you want. So don't be afraid to join groups and search them out. You can search groups for anything. I mean, I'll give you a great example. It might still be
Mac to the Future.
There you go. Let's see our results for Back to the Future. All right. Now, here are my results for Back to the Future. This is a really important page because you can you can filter by posts, people, photos, places, pages, pages, places, and then right here, groups. So if I click on groups, now it's going to filter out Back to the Future by groups. Okay. And then look what pops up here, Back to the Future. So I can join that group. Now, one of the things that may happen when you join a group is you may get an interview pop-up where they will ask you a number of questions. They do that for really two reasons. One, to verify your interest, but two, and probably more importantly, to make sure that you are not a bot. You are not an automated piece of programming that is looking to spam this particular group. So that's a way of filtering it out. So again, one more reason to consider joining groups. Join groups, join groups, join groups, because it's a great way to, again, further customize that newsfeed and what you see on Facebook. All right.
There was a question related to the unfollow, block, etc. What do if you block me or unfollow me or something? What do I see as the other end?
Okay, if you unfollow or block someone, that person will not see it. They don't have any idea.
Right.
Now, here's how they will find out. Let's say you've been friends with somebody and you unfollow them. If you go in and search for that individual, let's say Dave and I unfollow Dave. And I'm like, hey, I haven't heard, and Dave says, oh, I haven't heard from Davis in a while. Let me see what's going on with him. My information will then show up to him once I've done a specific search as though we were never friends. So he will then know.
Right. If they can people
Correct.
Sometimes won't figure it out, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But unless I do that deliberate search, I won't know. I don't get an alert that I've been unfollowed or blocked.
Right.
Okay. All right. I want to talk about Messenger really quickly, and then I'm pretty much done for today unless there's questions. Okay. Yep. So we talked a little bit about how Facebook's whole goal is to keep you integrated in the platform. They are two things, if anything. They are a community, big giant bulletin board. They want to be the internet to most people, but they are also an organization that gets paid and makes their money by advertising. The longer you are on the platform, the more engaged you are, the more they can mine data for that advertising, the better that they do. They have their own messenger service. I will tell you, I prefer Apple messaging to anything out there. However, I have friends that all they do is Facebook Messenger. So I have both on my phone and on my system. If it's mobile, your tablet or your iPhone, you have a separate messenger app that you can log in and out of. When you're on a desktop system like this, you have a messenger pop-up. So I'm going to use Dave here for an example. Okay, when I go to Dave's page, I click on Dave, and I can do it from that menu as well, but I want you to see this, right? If I'm on Dave's page and I click on this button right here, if you look down here, right, a message pop-up has popped up for me to have a conversation with Dave. Now, I can video chat with Dave, I can call Dave, I can arrange settings, or I can also just X out of the box. So you can chat with someone within the desktop as a separate little box. It's really important for you to know. So I would tell you, though, be careful, because again, understand what you're using. Apple is all about security. They're all about you keeping your conversations private. Facebook can see what you're doing, whether it's through WhatsApp or whether the Messenger app. Just be aware of that when you're, some friends are all they use is Messenger. So it's absolutely correct. As Dave just said here, it's not secret. Again, think about you being in a big giant room and talking to somebody. You don't know who can overhear you, who's right next to you. So just be aware of that as you're using this, okay? And see, look, here we go. Here is, now you can send money, right? I don't know how I feel about that. I would use Apple Pay, but okay. So just saying that for the record.
No.
So, all right. So those are the big things that
I'm scared.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. Right. Let's see here. There's a lot more that you can do that I don't want to get into today, but I think, if there's anything that you all take out of today, it's going in, whether you've had a profile or whether you never created one. Go in, check your privacy settings, check your friends, check your interests. And if you haven't dived into the idea of groups and you really like that sort of curated, non-ad specific information share, start joining some groups. And if nothing else, join the Suburban Chicago Apple users page, which, and I can talk more about that in just a second, but that's really what I wanted to cover today. Is if there's any more questions or if anybody else wants to chime in, I'd love to hear it.
Can you delete your own accounts? Frank is asking.
Yes. Yes, you can delete your own accounts. Oh, which reminds me, by the way, I want to share with you a link. Thank you, Dave, because you reminded me. Okay. So, and I'm going to, Facebook.com. Huh?
Because of course everybody has to know this is a demo account you're using.
Oh yeah, this is a demo account. Yeah, I will be deleting this account later today. It's actually very similar because it's pulling a lot of my same friends. So, right, but yes, you can delete an account.
Are you saying it knows who you are?
It does know who I am. All right. So I just want to show you this page. Facebook.com/safety/tools is a great page to save regarding Facebook because it is a safety center. Whether you are and I don't know if you guys can see all this over here to the side, but it is a one-stop shop for everything regarding privacy checkup, security checkup, parent portal. So if you have kids that you're worried about what they can do with Facebook, this is where you want to go. Digital literacy library, online well-being. This is a page that I just recently discovered, and it has been fantastic for me because it's a one-stop shop for everything regarding privacy settings, securing your account, staying safe. It's just a great place to go, and it's not very well advertised. So I can put a link up to this page.
Yeah. What was it again?
Page. Huh?
Well, I'm going to put it in the chat. What was it again?
Facebook.com/safety/tools. That's tools, TOOLS.
Okay, thanks.
I'm sure he's going to post that in the community later.
Right.
Oh, yes. And on the Facebook page. So, anybody have any questions?
I think we got him.
Yeah, Davis, I've got a question. And this is just a general question. I used Facebook years ago, but I started getting all this stuff from my relatives that I wasn't interested in. So I just stopped using it. I mean, I was just seeing, recipes, and it was just stuff that I wasn't interested in. So
easy, Randy. I'm a chef, so easy.
Okay, well, okay, but so that that was just an example. But things that weren't, they just weren't interesting to me. And but I have, I've read and heard over the years that people are getting their news from Facebook, and they're getting questionable, news items, etc. I'm thinking, how does that happen? Because I just get stuff from my friends. I don't get news, and I'm glad I don't. But how is it that people are getting news?
Well, I just really quickly, I just typed this in. Chicago News Channel 7 has their own newsfeed page. So again, as you start to customize what you want, right? When you search this out, there is more than likely a business page, a link, a group regarding news, regarding the type of news that you want to see. And when you find a page like this, right? So here it is. In fact, for example, ABC right now is streaming live on Facebook a story that's important in Chicago, right?
So would you follow that if you want? I mean,
correct.
I don't see anything there that says follow. I see comment and like.
Which, by the way, really quickly, you see this little check mark here? Mm-hmm. That means that they are verified a trusted source, so it is not a spam page. Really important to see that.
You're not sharing your screen, Davis.
Oh,
I see it.
Oh, okay. Oops.
Okay,
I'm sorry. My fault.
Okay. All right. So
I'm moving people around and anyway.
Excuse me. by the way, we have about 7 minutes.
Okay, really? Okay, I'm
Okay.
almost done. All right, so yeah, look for that check mark. You can also like it here. When I go to the page, here is where you will see the like and the follow button.
And what's the difference between the two? I mean, I know what follow is, but
Liking the page will start to tell Facebook and your friends that you like this source of information. Following is like stalking the page again. Okay.
I do this all the time. I mean, I've got a lot of news feeds that I follow. You know, Macworld, iPhone Life, all the magazines and other things, because I do that for research for my podcast. So that's my interest. But the news sources are very good. I mean, like ABC7, WGN is very good because WGN does a lot of live feeds when they're doing. So does ABC7.
Yeah.
So if you want to be able to get to a live feed right away, it's right there in your Facebook page.
By the way, you can do news overload on Facebook.
Easy. It's easy. Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah, you got to be wary. Yeah, be wary of that. Yes.
And
you can end up getting too much news.
If you start getting your news from Facebook, remember what Facebook does is you see something, you watch it, it goes, oh, you like that. Okay. And it's going to give you more. Oh, you like that. And it's going to give you more. Right. And it might not necessarily be the right stuff. Okay. So you have to be real careful of getting too focused on what Facebook is saying. Here's more for you to see.
You know, every once in a while, you want to clean out the closet.
Yes.
Collect stuff over time.
Pick up your shoes, wash the floors.
Yeah. Because again, what I liked 5 years ago, I may not like now. And if I don't go out and clean that up and keep that living, if you will, a living set of preferences, Facebook's going to just give me everything.
Is there a simple way to see all of the things you have chosen to follow? Is there a way to sort of see a list?
Yes, and you see it you see it in your here. I'll share my screen one more time. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So when you go to your set, can you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
All right. When you're in your settings here. Okay. Well, first, there's two things. If I didn't talk about this, right? I'm going to show that again really quickly. All right. Activity log. Such a critical piece to get to know, right? If you search on your activity log, now we've just been playing around. Look at what just happened from my activity log just during the time we've been talking. Look how many things I searched and did. You can go in and delete all of this information from your activity log. That will also help or prevent, for lack of a better word, Facebook from using that to continue to source and update its algorithm to feed you information. Really important to understand that, okay? So delete information. You also can go to your newsfeed preferences, your setting, and then your timeline. So Randy, to answer your question, this is where you want to be. You want to dig into each of these areas. So depending upon what you're looking for, from your notifications to your public posts to all of your interests, they're all going to be in the setting sections. And that's why I said for me, it's every 3 months. I just go in here and I poke around. Okay, what's going on? You know, I delete my activity log. I delete things I don't want anybody else to see anymore. So really getting in the habit, put a reminder in your system or your phone or whatever system you use to go in and clean house with Facebook.
Okay. And it makes it easy to turn off Aunt Mary's bad jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. So that's all for me, guys. I took a little bit more time than I wanted, but I hope I got everybody's questions. And
Margie has a question.
Yeah, Davis, real quick, what is your opinion with, I'm always leery to put my grandkids' pictures up on Facebook. If my privacy, if I'm real good with my settings and it's secure, what's your thought?
When you post that, you can tell Facebook where that post is going to go in terms of who can see it. So okay. I would do two things. I would set up your preferences and what you want to be seen globally. So for example, you can set it so only your friends, people who have accepted you and you have accepted as friends, can see whatever you post. That's the first thing. Second thing is an individual post, you can refine even further. You can send it as a direct message, a direct link to only certain people. You can dig into all of that granular detail, but get in the habit of doing it. And I would try it to get comfortable with it. Try it with something you don't really care about so you can kind of test where it goes. Okay. But you can get really granular and really private if you want to. You just have to dig into the settings. And you can do more now than you could ever before.
Thank you.
What about tagging people in pictures?
Unfortunately, we're almost out of time, and I get the last word.
Look who has the hook now.
Okay, we can continue this conversation in the community because everybody who's a member of the organization, Suburban Chicago Apple Users Group, is, I'm sure, in our online community. By the way, if you are viewing this webinar, this recording on YouTube or on Facebook, please, and you're not a member, shame on you, but I tell you what, we made it real nice and easy for you. You can go to our website at myscau.org, click on join us and sign right up, and then we can add you right to our community and you can continue this conversation with us online. We will, okay. So, but for those of you who are not members, join us. And don't forget, we have our, we're going to take time off from the May meetings, which is this right here. However, we do have our photo sig, which will be coming up later on. As a matter of fact, isn't it on the 15th, y'all?
July 15th, yes.
July
This coming Wednesday.
Yeah.
7 p.m.
That's
Central.
another thing that Facebook can help you with. You can put events on there like people's birthdays, like my birthday just passed. And
happy birthday, George.
Thank you. Some people forgot my birthday, but some people see it's really amazing because like Davis, right? Yeah. They didn't forget my birthday, but one of my friends I've known since the 90s, he's like, when I said thank you, that's when he said happy birthday. See, if you join Facebook, you won't miss people's birthdays. But again, we want to thank Ed and Becky for everything that they have done. But like I said, join us online in the community where we can continue this discussion about Facebook. Look forward to seeing everyone. I will be at the photo sig, and you should be at the photo sig.
I would like to just add one little thing, and that the photography special interest group is going to be on the third Wednesday of every month so far. At 7 o'clock.
And all of those dates are on the Facebook page.
Yes, I appreciate that. And like I said, please join us. Thank you, everybody, and have a good weekend and a good day.
Thank you.
Cheers.